Hey everybody, Rory from ANS Gear, and we're looking at some accessories for your T15 or your First Strike rifle setup right here. So what I've got is all the rail systems that we have right now. There are a couple that are out of stock right now as of the time of shooting this video, so I brought up pretty much everything that I can, but for what we're doing, this is going to suffice just fine. I've got a couple different lengths right here, the 12-inch. This is what, the 10? Yeah, this is the 10-inch, the 7, and the 4. Different versions of rail systems that you could put onto your T15. This is an M-Lok version, this is a Keymod version, and then these both are M-Lok right here. But a bunch of different lengths depending on the barrel you want to run or just overall size of the gun you're trying to put together. So that's what we've got right here. So the 4-inch, the 7, the 10, and then this big boy right here, this is the 12-inch. We're going to use the 12-inch on this one, and we're going to put it onto this T15 that I've got right here. So the first thing we're going to do is just kind of get everything out of this and see what you're going to get inside of here. Now this is kind of stuck in there, so we're going to pull it out of there. Let's get the 2 screws out. You're going to need to take this part of this apart before you put it on the gun anyway, so we're just going to do it now. The 2 mounting screws we're going to pull off the bottom. This will allow us to remove the innards out of it. So we've got those there. Now you can see that it's got a little housing that goes inside of there. It just slides in just like that. And this is going to be an important part in a minute. Over here we have some rails that we can stick onto the outside right here. And then a bunch of screws. We got a barrel nut spacer right there. All of these things will put this stuff onto here, and then this is going to go onto here. But we got to get this stuff off first. So let's move this out of the way and allow us to get to where we want to be right here. I'm going to move these kind of off to the side. I'm going to slide you over here. Then we're going to look at this. Now, on your standard T15, I've already removed the rail system that was on the marker. It has a bunch of 4 screws that mount it together, and then you've got this sprung delta ring right here. You pull the ring down, and it allows you to slide the top and bottom half off right there. So 4 screws, you pull them out, slide those pieces off of there. And that leaves you with this. Now, to get this ring off of here, you do need a special tool. I don't know if it comes in the box for the T15. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but if it doesn't, you can find them at a number of different places. This is the one I use. This is an armorer's wrench, an AR wrench right here. This is for real rifles and real weapons, but it works just as well for airsoft stuff. You can see that it's got this ring right here with all these teeth in it. This will line up with the teeth that are on here. And this will allow me to unscrew this barrel nut off and take this whole barrel off. So what I do is I slide it on here. You can see that it slides over the outer barrel. I push down, pushing this out of the way and getting those teeth to line up on there. And then I can unscrew it and rotate it. Now this one came off super easy. Normally they are much tighter than that, and I'm able to, you have to put a lot more force into getting it off. This one, I've already taken it off once, so it came off nice and easy. So you can now rotate that up. Sometimes if it's really sticky, you'll have to use the barrel wrench a couple of times to get this to rotate off before you'll be able to spin it by hand and get it off of there. So that allows this piece to come off, and then we can slide the barrel, outer barrel off. First thing we need to do in order to get this completely off is to remove the original barrel out of there. So we're going to take the original barrel and slide that out right there. We can set that off to the side, and then that allows the rest of this to come right off. Now this will not slide off the bottom. You can see that there's a brass ring down here that keeps this from being able to come off. If we took the ring off, then this would just slide right off the bottom. Now, one thing for T15s, this is kind of a tangent a little bit. that we see happen all the time is people have this setup on their marker. They've got this on here, they've got this still together, they have their whole rail system, and they want to take it off. And they know that they have to unscrew it somehow to get it off of there. So rather than disassemble the original rail, have the appropriate tool, and then try to unscrew it off, they try to do it all at one time, which will work actually. But what happens is this little point right here, you see this little piece of metal that is stuck onto this barrel? This is an indexing point right here. This keeps the barrel vertical when you put it together. There's a little slot right here at the front. That little piece of metal lines up with that slot, and it keeps everything in line. If this wasn't here, when you went to put this on, it might rotate around like this, and then you've got your rail system at the front right here, off center of the rail that's running down the back of your gun, and then it doesn't work right. All right, so let's take where we are and move forward. Just want to show you that in case you wonder why you've ruined your barrel as you've tried to unscrew it. That's the reason right there, because you mashed this. You can force this thing to turn this way, snap this tab off, and then it will unscrew and come off. Problem is, when you go to put it back together, now nothing will line up right again. So you have to take it apart the way I just did properly so that you don't ruin this tab at the front right here. All right, you can go over there now. Next, we're going to take our new barrel nut right here that came inside of our rail system, and we're going to screw it onto here. Okay, now that's going to go onto there. Now we can take our rail and we can slide it on. The rail itself has two tabs right here, which fit on either side of the body right here, which makes sure that it stays vertical so that it cannot, you can't put it together like, well, you could, I guess, but I mean, that's pretty obviously wrong. This keeps it centered so that you, in theory, can't put it on wrong. Then we take our two screws, we will put these in, give them a good snug, and then we could take our original barrel and put that down in there. Gives it a very different look from what we were seeing from the original. One thing I will remind you guys is that the barrel wobble will be there. Now there is an aftermarket product that you can get, the barrel adjusting nut, the 2.0 version, which is basically, if I can get that off of there, we've done some videos for it before and we can link to those. It is a longer version of this, which has an O-ring that sits in it and drastically reduces the amount of barrel wobble that you get from this. So if you're converting over from a standard T15 to a railed version of the T15, I highly recommend that you pick up that barrel adjuster 2.0 and replace this piece with that one. Otherwise, you will see some barrel wobble, especially if you run a longer barrel on there, or if you're running just some different setups or whatever. Definitely replace this if you want to get rid of that wobble. But that's it. It's a very simple changeover. There's lots of different rail options, different lengths, different mounting versions. If you don't want Keymod, you can go, or you don't want M-Lok, you can go with the Keymod. There's a bunch of different versions right there. And it's not terribly hard to do. You will need that special wrench to get the original barrel nut off of there on that delta ring. But once you get that off of there, it's very, very simple, and you'll probably keep it this way indefinitely. I don't really see a reason to switch back unless you wanted to just get a different look again. But again, lots of different options for railed versions, rail conversion kits on the T15. They look great, from 12-inch versions down to 4-inch versions like this little baby right here. Give you all sorts of different looks for your T15. Pick them up from First Strike at ansgear.com.